I don't think, if I could be wrong, but I don't think there's ever been a more cursing in one movie than in Saturday Night Fever.
Hiya, Tony. 2 or 3?
Two, give me two, that's good.
In 1977, they were the white suit, the dance floor, the bridge, and the booth. By 2026, one of them runs a business in Los Angeles and hasn't been on a screen in 20 years. One of them became president of one of the most powerful unions in Hollywood. One of them won a Tony Award that almost nobody connects to this film. And one of them didn't make it to the day this video was finished. 49 years is a long time. Let's see where time took them. Karen Lynn Gorney, Stephanie. Karen Lynn Gorney was born on January 28, 1945 in Los Angeles, California. She was 32 when the film released, nearly a decade older than Travolta, and the casting of her as his aspirational love interest was not the studio's first instinct. Jessica Lange, Kathleen Quinlan, Carrie Fisher, and Amy Irving were all considered before Gorney got the call. She brought genuine dance training to the role. She also arrived with a motorcycle accident behind her that had left physical limitations she had to work around for the entirety of production. The film does not reveal this. Stephanie Mangano moves like someone who has already escaped, and Gorney made that true even when her own body was telling her otherwise. After Saturday Night Fever, she stepped back from screen work, released 3 jazz albums, and returned to stage and television intermittently across the following decades. In 2023, she appeared in the comedy drama The Adults, playing Dolly. She turns 82 this January. The 4th name on a casting shortlist, the one who actually made the film. The 4th choice for the role of Tony's Way Out of Brooklyn outlived most of the reasons she was passed over. Donna Pescow, Annette. Donna Gail Pescow was born on March 24, 1954 in Brooklyn, New York, the same borough the film spends 2 hours trying to escape. She was 23 when the film released, and she almost did not get to make it. Studio executives told the casting team she was too pretty for Annette. The role required a girl Tony could overlook. So Pescow put on weight. She relearned the Brooklyn accent she had grown up with, and then spent years of training to lose. She rebuilt herself into the character they could not see when they looked at her. The irony is in the construction itself. The girl who played Unwanted was told she was too desirable for the part. She went on to become a Golden Globe and Daytime Emmy nominee. She built a television career across Angie, Out of This World, and even Stevens that outlasted the disco era by 3 decades. She married Arnold Shepard Zelanka and has one son, Jack Casey Zelanka. 72 now and still working. The studio that said she was too pretty has been silent on the subject ever since. The girl Tony walked past in 1977 kept walking long after the music stopped. Fran Drescher. Francine Joy Drescher was born on September 30th, 1957 in Queens, New York City. She was 20 years old during filming. Her role as Connie is small by any measure, a few scenes, a handful of lines, but the voice was already there. Anyone who watched Saturday Night Fever in 1977 and then watched The Nanny in 1993 would recognize the same instrument playing in a completely different room. In the years between, she survived a home invasion and rape in the early 1980s, a trauma she later wrote about publicly as part of her ongoing work as a health and survivor advocate. She became a cancer survivor. She became president of SAG-AFTRA. She divorced Peter Mark Jacobson and has no children. 68 years old, president of a major union, and recognizable by voice alone to roughly 3 generations of television viewers. All of that from a girl with a handful of lines at a disco in 1977. The smallest speaking role in this film turned out to belong to the woman who became one of American television's most recognizable and most stubbornly surviving voices. Lisa Peluso. Lisa Peluso was born on July 29, 1964 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was 13 years old when Saturday Night Fever released, the youngest member of the cast by some distance. She had already appeared on Broadway at the age of 9. Her role as Linda sits inside the Manero family's noise, part of the domestic pressure that shapes Tony without ever being named as one of its causes. After this film, Peluso built a long career in daytime television across Another World, One Life to Live, and As the World Turns. She married photographer Brad Geiss and has children, including a daughter named Phoebe. She is 61, the youngest surviving member of this cast, and has more combined screen hours than half the people who got bigger billing in this film. A child actress who walked into one of the most recognized films in American history and then quietly built a career in the rooms most audiences never watch. Denny Dillon, Doreen. Denny Dillon was born on May 18, 1951 in Cleveland, Ohio. She was 26 during filming. Doreen is the film's awkward orbit around Tony, the girl on the edge of the group who wants what she cannot have and makes no attempt to hide it. It is the kind of role that gets trimmed in the edit. It did not. Dillon built a career that ran from Saturday Night Fever to a stint on Saturday Night Live, to Tony Award-nominated Broadway work, to the mystery horror series Servant, where she played Bev in 5 episodes. She is credited acting teacher Mary Tarsai and casting director Shirley Rich with shaping her early path. She is married to Barbara Smiley, 74, still booking roles. The girl who almost got cut from the edit has now outlasted the decade, the genre, and most of the critical conversation around this film. She played a girl on the edge of the frame and then spent 50 years proving the edge was exactly where she belonged. Julie Bovasso, Flo. Julia Ann Bovasso was born on August 1st, 1930 in Brooklyn, New York. She was 47 during filming. Flo is the mother at the dinner table who cries too hard and too long. The woman whose grief is so large it fills every room and embarrasses everyone in it. It is exactly the kind of role that disappears into background noise. Bovasso made it the film's emotional center. She was already a respected theater figure long before this film. She reprised the role in the 1983 sequel, Staying Alive. She appeared in 30 film and television roles across her career. Her final screen performance was in Article 99, a comedy drama released 6 months after her death. She was married to painter George Earl Ortman. Julie Bovasso died of cancer in New York City on September 14, 1991. She was 61 years old. The woman who made Tony's home feel like a wound was the one who understood earliest that the film was never really about dancing. John Travolta, Tony Manero. John Joseph Travolta was born on February 18, 1954 in Inglewood, New Jersey. He was 23 years old when Saturday Night Fever released in December 1977. Before Tony Manero, he was Vinnie Barbarino, the lovable classroom clown from Welcome Back, Kotter. He arrived on this project as a television actor who needed to prove he was something more. Robert Stigwood signed him to a 3-film, $1 million contract. The role did not come through an audition, it came through a deal. That distinction matters because Travolta had to earn the legitimacy the contract had assumed he already had. He earned it, but not cleanly and not quietly. During production, his girlfriend, actress Diana Hyland, was dying of cancer. She was 18 years older than him. He flew to her bedside between shooting days and returned to the dance floor each morning. Hyland died on March 27, 1977, 4 weeks before principal photography wrapped. The swagger Tony Manero carries in every single frame was built on top of a grief the audience never knew was there. And here is the detail that changes everything. The scene where Tony sits on his fire escape and stares at the city, the one that reads as the film's most interior moment, was shot in the days immediately after Hyland's death. Travolta later reprised Tony Manero in the 1983 sequel, Staying Alive. He became a double Academy Award nominee, a producer, a dancer, a singer-songwriter. He married actress Kelly Preston in 1991. They had 3 children. Their son Jet died following a seizure in 2009. Kelly died of breast cancer in July 2020. Travolta has now faced the same grief twice, in different decades, at different heights of his life. 72 years old, and still the name this film gets introduced by. The boy who danced his way out of Brooklyn in 1977 did not stop carrying the weight. He just learned to carry it in different rooms. Barry Miller, Bobby C. Barry Miller was born on February 6, 1958 in Los Angeles, California. He was 19 years old when Saturday Night Fever released. Bobby C is the film's moral wound, the boy in the group who cannot find the exit, who carries a secret the film refuses to explain and refuses to forgive. Miller played him at the edge of collapse for the entire runtime without once making it feel like performance. He went on to win the Tony Award for Best Actor in 1985 for Biloxi Blues. His last known screen role was in 2003. Public records on his private life remain almost entirely absent. No reliable reporting on marriage, children, or major public statements has surfaced in the decades since. He is 68, largely out of public view, and holds a Tony Award that most people who know his face from this film have never heard of. The saddest face in Tony's world turned out to belong to the actor who built the most decorated stage career anyone in this cast could claim. Joseph Cali, Joey. Joseph Cali was born on March 30th, 1950 in New York City. He was 27 during production. Joey in the film is speed and appetite and no second thoughts. The friend who makes the group feel like a threat rather than a comedy. After film and television work across the 1980s and 1990s, Cali left the industry and moved into business. He operates a home theater company in Los Angeles. He was married to singer-songwriter Lori Lieberman and has 4 children from an earlier marriage. 76, running a business in Los Angeles, a long way from Bay Ridge in every sense that counts. One of the film's most reckless faces built his second act in a room where the only thing playing was whatever you chose. Paul Pape, Double J. Paul Pape was born on July 17, 1952 in Rochester, New York. He was 25 during filming. Double J is volume and impulse, the one in the group most likely to escalate whatever situation they are already in. Pape built a steady career in film, television, and voice acting over the following 4 decades. He married Suzanne Angel and has a daughter, Isabella. His most recent screen credit is the 2023 drama Rosebud Lane. 73, still taking screen roles, still doing the voice work, still here. He played one of Brooklyn's loudest men and then became one of the cast's longest working and least celebrated survivors. Bruce Ornstein, Gus. Bruce Ornstein was born on February 3, 1954. He was 23 during production. The attack on Gus is one of the film's pivotal moral failures. The moment when Tony's world stops being a coming-of-age story and becomes something darker. Ornstein carries that pivot on almost no screen time. He stepped away from acting and built a different kind of career: director, writer, and acting teacher. He founded the Bruce Ornstein Acting Workshop in 1998, spent 7 years on the faculty at Columbia University's MFA film program, and has taught at NYU. He is married to Valerie A. Norman. He is 72 years old and has spent the better part of 3 decades in a classroom rather than in front of a camera. That was the choice. He made it early, and he has not reversed it. The man whose beating changed the story spent the rest of his life teaching other people how to tell theirs. Monty Rock III, the DJ. Joseph Moses Montanez Jr. was born on May 29, 1939 in the Bronx, New York City. He performed under the name Monty Rock III and later as Disco Tex. He was 38 during filming. He did not play the DJ as if he were a character. He played it as if he were at work, because he was. He had already been a professional entertainer, musician, and openly gay public performer for well over a decade before Saturday Night Fever. The disco culture the film mythologized was a world he had been living inside since before the audience knew to call it anything. He released multiple albums and singles, appeared in a handful of film and television roles, and his last known screen credit was a 1986 episode of Miami Vice. He spent his later years in Las Vegas. In 2024, he suffered a hip fracture that left him largely bedridden. His health declined over the following 18 months. He made it to 86. COPD took him on February 23, 2026, weeks before this video went into production. He is the reason this script is different from every previous version of this story. The man who spun the records while Tony danced was not playing the culture, not representing it, not standing next to it. He was it, and he was still alive to see this video go into production before he was not. Val Bizzalio, Frank Sr. Italo Valentino Bizzalio was born on May 7, 1926 in New York City. He was 51 during filming. Frank Manero Sr. is the film's portrait of a certain kind of masculinity: loud, diminished, resentful, and frightened. Bizzalio played him as a man who had once had power and was now only pretending he still did. He built a long career in television, best known for his recurring role as Danny Tovo on Quincy M.E. He reportedly returned for a scene in the 1983 sequel, Staying Alive, that was ultimately cut from the final film. He was married to Bonnie Bizzalio and had 3 children. His final acting role was Murph in 3 episodes of The Sopranos in 2002. Val Bizzalio died on October 18, 2021 in Los Olivos, California. The cause was Lewy body dementia. He was 95 years old. The man who made Tony's home feel like a cage outlived nearly everyone else in this cast and died 3 months short of his 96th birthday. Martin Shaker, Frank Jr. Martin Shaker was born on January 1st, 1940 in Detroit, Michigan. He was 37 during filming. Frank Jr. leaving the priesthood is the film's quietest catastrophe, the single detail that tells you everything about this family and this neighborhood without a single raised voice. Shaker carries it with the weight of someone who has been grieving it for years before the audience arrives. He has spent the decades since as a working stage actor, a life member of the Actors Studio, and a husband to Diane Stern. His 2 children include the novelist Alex Shaker. His most recent film role was in the 2022 comedy drama Out and About. 86 years old, a life member of the Actors Studio, and the oldest living cast member in this film by the time you watch this. The brother who broke the family's last dream became one of the most quietly distinguished working actors this cast produced. Sam Coppola, Fusco. Sam Coppola was born on July 31st, 1932 in Jersey City, New Jersey. He was 45 during filming. Fusco is the hardware store, the counter, the ordinary adult world that Tony is so desperate to escape. Coppola made that ordinariness feel like something worth running from. He appeared in over 70 film and television roles across his career. He was married to Helen Elizabeth Shinnick and had 2 children. His final acting role, Vinny in the television movie Over Under, was released in 2013, a year after his death. Sam Coppola died of an aneurysm on February 5, 2012 in Leonia, New Jersey. He was 79. He looked like the world Tony was running from. He was exactly the kind of face that made running feel worth it. Anne Travolta, Pizza Girl. Saturday Night Fever contains, buried inside it, 3 generations of one family. Anne Burke Travolta, John's real-life sister, appears as a pizza girl. She married Craig Respel in 1977, the same year the film released, and has 1 child. She has continued to work as an author and occasional screen performer. Her most recent appearance was in the 2020 short film Last Impressions, where she played Mrs. Wallace. Anne Travolta is in her mid-70s. She is the last Travolta standing from this cast, and the only one whose connection to this film most of its audience has never thought to look for. Burt Michaels, Pete. Burt Michaels was born on December 22, 1943 in New York City. He was 33 during filming, and his name does not appear in most summaries of this cast. But he had already appeared in one of the most famous musicals in Hollywood history before Saturday Night Fever. He played Snowboy in the original 1961 West Side Story. He reprised that continuity 60 years later, appearing in Steven Spielberg's 2021 remake as a gimbal security guard. 2 West Side Story films, 1 Saturday Night Fever, a career as both actor and choreographer that ran across 6 decades. 82 years old, with 2 West Side Story films and 1 Saturday Night Fever on a resume that most people in this cast would not have predicted from a man playing Pete. He was on the edge of the frame in 1977, and he had been on the edge of a different iconic frame 16 years before that. The white suit is 49 years old, the dance floor is a memory, and the people who built that world out of nothing have spent the decades since proving they were always more than the moment that defined them. And that is Saturday Night Fever, cast then and now. Where are they now in 2026, and what really happened to them?